and sound. Check the audio out. That's all good. Fantastic. Okay, now if anyone's got any background noise, please, I've got you all turned on, so you please can turn that off, as I need to unmute, as I need to mute otherwise. I can maybe just check the sound. There's a bit of sound coming in the background there. And what I'll do is I'm going to turn the sound on and off, so you'll be able to come back in again as soon as you can. So you can please bear in mind everyone else can hear your background sound at the moment. So can you all see my first slide, which looks like this? Yeah?
No, I cannot see your slides at all.
Okay, so I'm now going to share my screen. PowerPoint slideshow. Okay, how about that?
Yep, now I got it.
Great, thank you. So you can all see this, I hope. So, this is now being recorded as a presentation. If someone's got audio, Angela, can you right-click and mute anyone who's got sound coming through? Thank you. So we have a starting point now. I'm just putting a link up to the group that we're broadcasting this from. If you're not on this group already, you can look us up on Facebook. There's the link there. Just search for Astrology, Spirit, Science and Community, all those words, and you'll find us. Webinar tonight, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be talking about current transits, retrograding Saturn, current affairs, new technology as well. This is a kind of a current emphasis of the transits at the moment. Pistorius Controversy, and to go a bit deeper into that, I'm going to look at his chart from a number of different angles. We've got tropical astrologers with us as well here, so we can look at that. And finally, I'll make reference to the lunar mansions, and in particular, the Nishta as one of the lunar mansions. Those of you who are unfamiliar with this concept, this is where the moon is placed in a particular constellation, and that specific constellation is normally where a star is actually near the moon. And we use that sort of range of stars as something we call a nakshatra or lunar mansion. I'll discuss that also. So, looking at where we are right now, I took this at 7 PM today, and it was a transit UK kind of like Prussian chart. I've got the right-hand side north chart and the east-hand side Vedic chart. I'm going to bring my chat window up on the screen. If someone wants to write a message, you can write it to me. If something comes up and you don't understand something, you can write a message and I can quickly respond in typing, or I'll say the answer out loud. Okay. So let me begin. This is the current Prussian chart here, and what's recently changed largely is in the last week since I did this, is that Saturn is now retrograding and going backwards through Libra, and Venus has now entered Aquarius, which is another one of Saturn's sign. Can you just confirm that you can all hear me clearly at the moment? Just maybe type a quick yes in the chat box. Thank you, Angela. So this current chart with Venus going into Aquarius and Saturn in Libra is really the focal point for what I'm going to look at today. So you can keep this chart. I've also posted a lot of information on the Facebook group, but if I can maybe go backwards and forwards between slides when I need to, I'd like you maybe to look at the screen briefly and just note that Venus at 2 degrees Aquarius, Sun is at 10 degrees Aquarius, Mars is 22 degrees Aquarius, Mercury 25 degrees Aquarius, a lot going on there, and Saturn 17 degrees Libra and Rahu 26 degrees Libra. Moon at the moment is in Cancer, Jupiter Taurus, and Ketu in Aries. Okay, I had some graphics here, but some of them have vanished unfortunately, but let me just sort of explain to you a little bit about Venus and Aquarius. I think I'd like to do it using some imagery here. I'm using some tarot imagery actually on this, so let's just talk about some of the archetypes. Now Venus archetype as a planet, when it moves around, Venus is kind of indicates our own love for beauty, our relationship with our senses and all the senses, and how we experience through our senses. It's how we enjoy life through pleasure. It's how we have a relationship with other people of a heart-to-heart connection. This is unlike the moon, which is a bit more caring for someone's relationship, a kind of a nurturing thing. This is Venus is much more about connecting with someone on a heart-to-heart level. So we say maybe as equals would be appropriate. And the tarot card we link to this is the Empress as a card. And you can see that like little graphic in the Empress there, the sign of Venus, the symbol of Venus, the glyph. And this glyph is indicative of what Venus represents. And here you have almost like a person with arms outstretched and a circle at the top. And the glyph represents a understanding that there's a soul that's come to Earth with a material manifestation, and it is where spirit and matter come together, which is a cross. And it takes place on Earth. And the kind of cross point is showing the kind of union between spirit and matter, which is what Venus represents very well. It's both spiritual and material planet, and it also has its, look at the image there, that graphic, it has its arms outstretched, widely open, and sort of indicates this kind of loving energy outputting it to others. And the Empress symbol here from tarot is a card that represents Venusian things. It's like the wealth, the abundance, fertility, it's comfort, luxury. Look how she's seated there in the seat, and the comfort and the jewelry and the decoration. It's a very visual and attractive picture, which is really much what Venus represents. Now, going along with this is Aquarius, and I've used Aquarius symbol stars. Angela gave me a bit of a hint about this, which is very useful. I might bring you in, Angela, if that's okay. Can you say yeah, if that's all right with you? I might bring you on the microphone just to compliment me here. So the star as a card sort of shows water being poured out into the lake. And from my understanding of the symbolism here, how it represents Aquarius, Aquarius is seen as the water bearer and gives water freely to humanity. So it's here to actually give something back in a humanitarian way. And it kind of inspires things like hope, vision, idealism, revolution for humanity and mankind, and all these good things. So you put Venus, who's a very loving planet, into the sign of Aquarius, and you get someone who really wants to change things for the better for all people, and wants to bring together large quantities of people for change, for good purposes, you know, in a decent way. Let's see if I can bring Angela in here. Can you unmute your mic? Maybe if you want to comment on the tarot symbology, Angela, it'd be very helpful if maybe you could bring some of that into.
Okay. Well, so you're looking at Venus in Aquarius through the Empress and the star, right?
That's right.
Empress connects on the tree of life. Empress actually connects the divine masculine to the divine feminine. And in that act, she's taking a pure, vibrant, unencumbered energy, and she's basically reforming it into something real. So the Empress is really about the creation of something. When we, in this case, when we combine her with the star card, we're gaining self-confidence. We're able, water in tarot and in many esoteric, basically esoteric everywhere, the water really represents either the great sea or our emotional place or our connectedness to the cosmic consciousness. And in this case, I think that the star is imbuing her with confidence and helping sort of become this wayfarer, showing this light so people can come and follow. So actually, Venus combined with the star is really positive symbology, and shows, if we were describing a woman, for example, I would say, wow, this woman is a light bearer. She's showing us the way. In religious text, we could almost consider it sort of like in Christianity, how they talk about the star that led the wise men to see where Jesus had been born, the Star of Bethlehem. So this symbology can be applied to that. But I do want to stress that Venus in the planetary cabinet in Jyotish is a minister like Jupiter. And so this really brings out her priestess qualities and her ability to show people the way. And so in this respect, I think it's very positive. She's quite lovely in this respect. And I was just thinking that she's in Aquarius right now, which is lorded by Saturn, and that really shows sort of the spiritual way. So I think she takes us into a deep mystery within ourselves and the ability to transform within and sort of take our internal cosmic connection and manifest it outwards towards people around us. So I think we're both in alignment on the viewpoints of that.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Fantastic. It's great to see tarot actually being used with the way you have the imagery. If we can relate and understand tarot with what we're doing here, we can have a much deeper way of getting to some of those archetypal energies that we use to kind of interpret symbolism. So let's just see here. People might have some questions at this point. I'm just open to the floor for questions. If you have a question, please, can you please write in the chat box first? Then we will unmute your mic for you. So just write a question. If you can just say yes, I have a question, or write yes, I have a question in the chat box. We'll then open the mic for you. Got about 30 seconds left to do that.
And actually, Lael just made a really important comment to everyone about the Asuras and the Asuras. Always listen to only Venus, and that's really important. Thank you for saying that, Lael, because I might use that in an article I'm writing right now.
Excellent. That's brilliant, isn't it? They'll always have these deep insights into things. Where did you get this from now? Okay, so yeah, very good point. Venus is the guru of the demons and not the priests or devas. So therefore, in both ways, remember that the gurus, Jupiter, talks as a teacher, and so is Venus, but the Jupiter energy is a teacher of the gods and those who are worthy of that knowledge, blah blah, and Venus is a teacher of the demons, or the other kinds. So vice versa, Jupiter will not listen, the devas or gods will not listen to Venus, but the demons will listen to Venus, and vice versa. So there's a connection that Venus can have with everyone in a much bigger way. That's potentially possible here. If you've got any more questions, please can you write a question up on the screen here. I'm now going to move to the next slide. Thank you, Angela. That's brilliant. We can do this. We should do this every time we do it, actually. All right, go on to the next one. Now, here's what I'm going to talk about now with Venus. Let's just get back again briefly. Venus refining energy and always improving things. That's its kind of nature. And it likes to put things together, unify and combine. So, in terms of humans' union and relationships and wanting people to be together, that would be unity and force. If you put it into the sign of the star or Aquarius, which is a sign of revolution, what can be brought about from it? Just some bits and pieces about Aquarius. Write some things on my screen you can see there. Fixed, air, and 11. Those are some properties of Aquarius. It is the 11th natural sign, which is about social networks, humanity, connections, friendships, online social networks too, which is what we're using today, Facebook, modern significator of the 11th house. It is an air sign also. It's about ideas and communication of ideas, channeling of information. I haven't got the glyph here, but it's two wavy lines, which shows that stream that is taking place of information, much like data firing down a broadband pipe or on the web. And it's also a fixed sign, so it is about views as well, and it's not budging from certain views. It's got a principle and it wants to make that happen. So given that's the case, let's look at the Aquarius in an archetypal way. The archetypes of Aquarius, I've got four. I've taken something here from what we call Pearson's Jungian archetypes. Pearson's a writer who's written about the Jungian archetypes, which there are 12, which maps the zodiac, and the one I've chosen for the Aquarius is the revolutionary. And the revolutionary people are, as a slide here, this is strictly from Pearson's comments, they are often unconventional and have cutting-edge approaches. They are excited and challenged when they take on tried and true methods or ways. They are revolutionary at developing radical ideas, products and services, and lead reform. and to be careful about being reckless and shaking things up just for the hell of it, and becoming stubbornly oppositional just for the sake of it as well. Different types of revolutionary. We've got the troubleshooter. They see problems or defects in current ways of doing things and want to fix them. Radical rebel. They are living outside the bounds of conventions and take on risk while waiting for others to agree or catch up. Challenger or contrarian. They're kind of obtuse. They always oppose the general common consensus just for the sake of it. Populist. They believe in the premise of giving power to the people. And game changer, they make a radical innovation that changes the rules of the game or the realities of the marketplace. So different types of revolutionary can be indicated by the Aquarian. I think that could be maybe about the different planets you might have in Aquarius or other different kind of blends of chart you'll see. So let me go into kind of what's going on now with the current transits. And as Venus has gone into Aquarius, one of the first things that's come up is a lot of change, new announcements about technology. Topical is interesting to me. In the teaching that we do here and using technology, but on the left-hand side there you see a watch, a wristband. That is Apple's patent for a touchscreen wristband watch coming out, planning. It's been leaked online, and the idea is that you would have literally a touchscreen on your wrist, and you could look at it and you could interact with it. It could give you the time, obviously, the dates, and it also will give you apps. Also, so you could maybe do things like having, maybe, for example, health things would be quite useful on your wrist. You could measure your pulse. It could be sports things. It could be a watch which is very personalizable. It could give you data about weather. And if it's all on the watch, it's very easy to wear it and walk around with it, and more so than even a mobile phone. So we might see watches moving forward in the future here, and more innovation taking place around the kind of digital watch area to be portable and interactive. Also, on the bottom right-hand side, you're wondering what is that pair of sunglasses doing? This is something called Google Glass. Google Glass is a project where Google are developing a pair of glasses. Just write the names of those things there. Pair of glasses which allow you to see information over your vision. So you, for example, might be looking at a member of your family, and you'll just say take a picture, or they'll just activate taking a picture of what you're seeing ongoing. Also, it will give you information that's what we call augmented information, augmented data. So you will see, for example, you look out your window, you'll be driving the car, and it'll be telling you which way to go. So a sat nav built into your glasses, showing you the way, or a weather information. If you look at the sky, or when you're walking around the street, you would be able to see, for example, where your nearest restaurant is, or where your nearest petrol station is, or where your nearest cafe will be. So social information and information will be provided too. Plenty of options here with those two gadgets, a wrist watch and Google Glass. This is a very Aquarian thing, and you put Venus in Aquarius and you'll get amazing innovation taking place where things start to synthesize and come together. A big Aquarian, lots of Aquarius in the chart, Steve Jobs, for example, one worth looking at. Tigle's comment there from K2, yeah, I agree. K2 is also a energy of innovation and revolution. I think, given where it is at the moment, it's in Aries, might have some context there. So, moving forward into the next particular chart we're going to look at, which is Oscar Pistorius. I think before I start this, I would just like to check you're okay. If anyone's got any questions at this point with what's been said so far. Those of you who are on the microphones or on the other chat, would you like to say something? Calling user 3 or Rosanna. Just type in the chat box and we can unmute you. No problem. You can always type in a question in the chat box there below. Robert, how are you getting on? Maybe you want to type something there? Thank you, Robert. Okay, just checking you're all right. Rosanna too, just to maybe confirm you're okay in the bottom so we know you're out there listening to us. So let's go on to Oscar Pistorius, which is the chart of the moment, controversy of the moment as well. Oscar Pistorius, here's some data about Oscar Pistorius. This is quite a deep slide here with lots of information on it. Ooh. And it covers a lot of content. Let me just move my stuff out of the way. This shows you a bit about his life. Let's go through his life story first, and then we'll relate to his chart afterwards. Tragic early life for Oscar. He was born 22nd, 86, Johannesburg, middle class. Parents divorced at the age of 6. Difficult relationships with his father, who was a businessman. Mother died at the age of 15, tragically, as a result of blood complications following hysterectomy. So he's lost the divorce, seen it happen, marital discord, and then a mother passes away early. So the whole lunar emotional side of him is quite unsupportive. There's a lot of, you can see, difficulty. Born without fibula in either legs before the age of 1, his parents decide to have his legs amputated. So they actually make that decision on his behalf. Within 6 months, he is walking again with prosthetic legs at a very young age. And as a youngster, he was interested in sports and just tried to do everything. He was definitely brave. Sporting achievements. Within 6 months, Pistorius is walking successfully with a pair of prosthetic legs. His handicap hardly slowed interest in his sports, which spanned from cricket to wrestling and boxing. He's getting involved. At the age of 16, 2002, he is into track and field, and he competes in 2004 in his first 100-meter race. Very quickly, 8 months later, he is wearing a pair of flex foot cheaters, which are these carbon fiber foots. This is new technology, and captures the gold medal in the 200-meter race at the Athens Paralympics. This is just a couple of years after first getting into track and field. It's a phenomenally quick rise. Leveling the playing field. Oscar makes a revolution in athletics. He, following his wins, competes in several races against able-bodied athletes, so he's now equal to them as a sprinter, and he's getting attention. In 2008, the Court for Sports basically overturns a ruling that he has an unfair advantage because of his blades, and this is a great achievement for him here. He misses out on 2008 to get into the Olympics, not quite making it, but he focuses his training on trying to make the games in London, 2012, which just happened. Along the way, he's nicknamed Blade Runner and called the fastest man without legs. He captures gold medals at the Athletic Championships. 2 more titles follow at the BT Paralympics. In 2012, he realizes his dream and he qualifies for the 400-meter race at the London Olympics, where he actually competes. He was eliminated in the semi-final round, which he got extremely far way through, which is very impressive. He secures his place in history by becoming the first ever amputee athlete to compete in the Olympics alongside able-bodied athletes. This is quite a massive transformation in sport. Unfortunately, this is after now he wins a lot of medals at the Paralympics as well, golds and various different thingies, sports he's involved with. Sadly, very recently on the night of Valentine's Day, 2013, his partner is found dead at his house, and she is shot and killed, and he is named as a suspect. 5 days after this, he admits to unintentionally shooting her on Valentine's Day, and he states that he has mistaken her for an intruder and shot through a locked bathroom door. He's now facing a charge of premeditated murder, and if guilty, could face a maximum sentence of life in prison. Quite a big, massive turnaround for someone of his caliber. So let's see now what his chart looks like. I've got different versions of it all, okay? So in terms of chart, you can go online. If you're tropical, you can quickly go online and Google a Oscar Pistorius birth chart, and you will get some versions of it. I have one in this slide too, which I can give afterwards. So you can quickly move it around if you need to also. Here's the Vedic version of the chart. And we have here a Capricorn rising at a 10:15 rectified birth time for him. It's somewhere between 10:15 and 10:30 is what I've seen. Also, we have a moon in the 7th house in Cancer. We have a Sun-Saturn conjunction in the 11th house. Venus-Mercury in the 10th house. This is a very important planet for Capricorn rising. Raja Yoga Karaka planet in the 10th. Ketu in the 9th house, Rahu in the 3rd, which is courage, and Jupiter and Mars conjunct in the 2nd house. So I'm just leaving this chart on the screen here for you to look at there. You can quickly just look at that. If you've got, we've already posted this on Facebook as well, you can download this. Okay, Now, is anyone here tropical? If so, I'm going to show the tropical chart. If not, I'm not going to show it. Doing tropical. Just give it a few seconds, see if anyone responds to that. Don't want it to be excluded. I'm going to show it briefly. It just shows some interesting things, the tropical chart. If you look at it, it makes the chart look somewhat different. You have here a slightly different setup. Tropical charts, Libra rising, Aquarius rising. You have the planets in slightly different places and signs, but there's some very interesting insights to be gained by the tropical system here. When I looked at it earlier on, with Angela, we found some quite interesting things that came out. So, we'll move the chart back and bring you back into voice now, everyone. So here's the Rashi chart. Now, my question is, with his chart, is he's running currently the Dasha period of Mercury, Saturn, which is finishing, and in 2013 July he's going into K2 period. Okay, the double K2. He's finishing Mercury, Saturn off. Some key dates for you if you go back to when I gave a life history, is his limbs were added to him after the operation in 1987. So the Saturn-Sun period is when he gets his legs replaced. He gets amputated and he gets prosthetics, okay, roughly that time. And below that, his mother passes away when he's only 6 years old. Sorry, I beg your pardon, when he's 15, which means that it will be 2001 roughly when that happens. And it's basically the Mercury-Venus period, according to this, or the end of that period. And this incident here has happened when Mercury-Saturn is running, in the Dasha period here. 2010, end of that, Mercury-Saturn, and then a sub-period of that. So I'm going to go to his chart and look at also the transit chart too of what's going on at the time. So here is his particular chart. Now this is in normal sidereal format. Let's see what you all think about this and get your opinions on it also, and then we can have a discussion around what we think might be happening here. Given the fact that the transit of the day, or the actual time of the particular thing, is this. Here's the lead up to the actual thing happening and what's going on right now. Now, just to sort of give your attention to a few things here. We have, if it's Capricorn rising for him as his ascendant, he would have Mars, Sun, and Mercury in Aquarius. Just Sun only, having just gone into it. If you look very carefully at the Sun here, the Sun is at 0 degrees Aquarius at the very bottom. Okay, let's type that into it. Sun 0 degrees Aquarius. Extremely fine point in time at 3:40 in the morning. 20 minutes after this is the kind of hour where this incident happened. So it's in Aquarius. It's also in a nakshatra called the Nishta, a lunar mansion of the Sun. Also, very interestingly, when this is going on, we have in this current chart we have K2 would be in his 4th house of unhappiness or happiness. So K2 is in the 4th. He's not particularly happy when K2 is in the 4th. It's challenging for happiness. His own his partner would be indicated by the Moon, ruler of the 7th. That would be in Pisces. And interesting enough, if you look at a kind of a Prashna chart, I always look at the Navamsha chart at the same time. And this shows you that look at the Moon and the Sun, they seem relatively okay in strength, but underneath the scenes, you've got here a Moon which is debilitated in Navamsha, in Scorpio, and a Sun which is also debilitated. So a lot of low energy on the kind of like very low energy available on the emotional side here. Certainly for the lunar energy, it's actually quite weak at this particular point. There's not much Moon energy coming in. This sort of feeling this real lack of motherly energy around at the time, which could create reactions potentially. Let's go to the event lead up and the chart of Oscar. I can bring you onto the microphone. Who would like to comment and talk with me about observations here? Does he have propensities to harm anyone? Is that indicated in his chart? Is he harmful? Could he lose his temper? Is there something there on that? Or is this a genuine mistake? What was written in his chart? Could he harm his partner? okay, to see what you've got to say. You can write in the question box here, or you can come back on the microphone. I think we can unmute microphones now, actually, bring them all the mics back in and have a discussion.
Can everyone unmute their own mic?
Okay. Right-click your microphone and then unmute. You should be able to do that.
Oh.
If there's background noise, however, I need to turn that off. So you. Good, I've got Leo there. Hello. Robert, can you come back in?
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Got Robert there. I've got Robert in microphone. I've got Rosanna there. And calling user 3, whoever you may be. Mystery person. Okay. So let's see if people got any questions here. Have you got any observations on this chart yourselves that you'd like to make?
Shall we talk?
Yes.
Shall we comment on the chart?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I was just waiting my turn.
Yes, please. No, please go ahead. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Okay. Today I had the chance to examine his and the girl's chart.
Yes.
Also
very good.
event. Yes,
Viva,
also
yes.
event.
Mm.
Yeah. And now the interesting thing in my mind that he is Jupiter Atma Karaka.
Yes, right.
Yeah, very interesting. That astonished me, but not too much because Jupiter is, fair and guru planet.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Very
right.
fair
Yes.
and guru planet.
Yes.
But I see that it's afflicted because it's third and 12th Lord and in the second Marak house with Saturn and Saturn Lord of Aquarius and Mars in it.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jupiter is not so much rested, not relaxed in this sign Aquarius.
That's right. Yes, yes.
And at the other hand, I was not knowing that mother had passed away, but seeing that his moon is very alone, even in its Cancer, in its sign, very alone. And another thing, I don't want to see the negative things, but it shows that there is a half Kala Sarp yoga here.
Right.
Kala
Yes,
Sarp
because the
yoga.
moon is low. The moon is low.
Yeah, everything happens inside him, because you see the Rahu Ketu axis. All the planets except Moon are all of them. Even the ascendant is in Rahu Ketu axis.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not good because I see in the nakshatras especially very Rahu effect.
Yes.
Yeah, very Rahu effect. I remember Venus and Mercury in Swati, I think.
Yes.
True? Is it true? Yeah. And this is Rahu effect, and his ascendant, everything in it is a karmic sign. I think he was struggling inside himself very much. I really couldn't find very deep negative things to being a murderer.
Yes.
But the transits may give great conflict in his mind as Moon is very alone, and there are many things, many signs here. He can be the murderer, he can be a liar, and I couldn't find the reason about his congenital defects. If you know, please tell me. I couldn't find, because this is rectified. We don't know his time.
No, not exactly. It's only given approximately. A 10:30 time was given.
Yeah, if we examine from moon chart, starting from the moon,
Yes.
maybe we can find something, but we have to look at the Rekana and Navamsha and
Yes.
the other things. And one thing I will add, the 30 charts, the 30
Yes.
Varga Trisamsa,
Yes.
we have to look at the bad habits, the negative karma he brought to this world. I can say these. Maybe I can include when we talk about his chart again.
Yes.
And on the other side, Rina, I think the girl's name is. Let me look. I'm sorry.
Riva, her name is.
Riva Rebecca Steenkamp.
Yes.
I made her chart too.
Right.
Yeah. We don't know her time. Yeah, we don't know. She is Mercury Atma Karaka, and Moon is in Sagittarius. I did some rectifying and not much, not too much, but I saw that her ascendant may be this Sagittarius too.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the last event that happened to her.
Right.
And at that point, at the 8th house, her Mars is debilitated in Cancer. You see, yeah, she's very weak. And Oscar's moon is in Cancer.
I see.
Yeah. We can relate, we can compare the things about the event, but we have to talk much about that. And the transits are not perfect in Aquarius, I believe in these days.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That was very insightful. This has been kept for future reference as well. Been very useful. Giving me lots of ideas actually looking at the chart and the way you looked at it. The aspects, that's fantastic. And it's actually maybe really kind of maybe understand a few other things really about this Atma Karaka. Let's just see if anyone else wants to comment as well. If anyone else have a comment, maybe got Angela to maybe comment on it, maybe Robert and Rosanna. Angela, would you like to comment?
Well, I agree with what Lael was saying. In fact, I was noticing that earlier. And one of the things I wanted to point out is that I was reading earlier about him that this was a gunshot through a door.
Yes.
And when you were talking about his weak sun and moon, that could incite fear. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that whenever we have these really swift events, a lot of times Mercury is heavily involved, and Lael mentioned that earlier. And I also was looking at I was looking earlier, I didn't write it down. I'd have to look again, but those nakshatras are Rahu driven. And also there's some, let me see if I can grab my notes real quick, because I've made notes on it earlier. Also, there was I believe I mentioned earlier, Manoj, that there was a transit. The transit happened over his second house, which is also home to his natal Mars and Jupiter.
Right now, here you go. This is the transit of the event. This is just before the event, and then the ascendant moves into Capricorn.
Okay. Well, also, I've noticed that whenever there's a fast event like this, Mercury can be involved. And, of course, we see Mercury conjoined his Sun and Mars. And also, one of the things I was thinking of earlier is that because this, because of the condition of his Sun and Moon and Mars and Mercury, I think that this was a very fast event. I think he made a statement that he was in a place of fear, and he did not intentionally plan on shooting his partner, and I believe that. I think that all the planets are innocent. Yeah, I do not think this was premeditated. I think he was afraid. I think he heard noise, at least based on what I've seen so far. Lael's right, we have to look at other charts, but if I just look at the condition of Mercury and Mars, I think that his intellect, his discerning mind was unclear, and that he was in a state of fear, and probably not feeling particularly brave to, just walk up and open a door. I think he was in a state of fear. but who knows? I mean, we'd have to look closer. But I think Mercury was definitely involved in this as well.
Sure. Okay. Very good. That's very good. So Mercury, we've got to keep a bit of an eye on that also. Let's just see if anyone else wants to comment on this. We've got two other people who've got Rosanna and Robert here. So if there's anything about this particular chart and also the call-in user, whoever you may be, mystery caller. Okay, Robert, no problem. That's fine. Rosanna, would you say anything? If so, please unmute your mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Hello, fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, hi. Could you switch back to the birth Rashi, please?
Of course I can.
Thank you.
There we go. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This one.
Yay, thank you. Well, of course, I didn't really know much about this man until this week.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Top of the news.
Going
Yeah.
through the vital statistics that we know of him, of course, the
Mhm.
first thing I wanted to see is where does all that athleticism come from? And Mars would be the ruler of athleticism, and you see that Jupiter, being the one that expands anything it touches, is conjunct Mars, and it's in the second house, which is the house of our personal values.
Yes.
So he is going to put a great store by his athleticism, and he's going to derive his self-esteem from that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Gotcha.
then there's the Saturn and Sun both in the 11th house of his highest ambitions for what he wants to accomplish in the world.
Sure.
And Saturn is going to give him a great deal of determination, and the Sun is going to keep him focused on his highest goal.
Yes.
But that
good.
I also am agreeing with Val?
Yes.
Vale, about, I looked at the moon and saw that it is terribly alone. There's hardly anything in Yoga's with it, with the exception of being 4 houses
Sorry,
away.
some interference there, Nail. Can you please turn off? Can we mute Nail's mic, please?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, Rosanna, carry on.
Yes, and there's that the moon has is almost completely alone. It has one yoga coming its way of Venus and Mercury 4 houses away, but that's it. It's otherwise completely almost completely unsupported.
Yes. This moon on its own, I believe, is called the Kima Druma Yoga, where it's very lonely.
Yes.
And just wanted to say, I mean, sorry, if anyone else wants to say anything, please chime in now. If you haven't got the background noise, just feel free to comment, talk as we talk. Let's see, Andrew, do you want to add anything to that, to what Rosanna said? That was very useful.
Well, with regards to the lonely moon, yeah, if there's not any sort of planet in the houses right next to it, you're going to have instability. And I've noticed people in charts, just charts I've looked at, without an Anaka, Usunakuna yoga, something of this nature, people really get lost in their own minds, you know, and they are in a state of fear. They don't, they're unable to kind of ground out the way someone with a really strongly supported moon would.
Sure. Okay, you might be more confident, for example. Interesting. Let's say something about this chart. If I can refer to another part, if I can find his, right. Just looking at this chart, see what comes to me looking at it. I'm going to try and be neutral here as well, because I think with this chart, there's two things I find a little bit odd about it as to what's happened here. One of the things is I don't understand why it's midnight, it's Valentine's Day, and you've just been woken up by some noise somewhere. Would you not look next to you at your partner who's sleeping on that night and wonder kind of like where she is first? I just find that's odd. Although you've heard something start, it takes a while to get ready. You're not able to walk as well, to get ready to put your legs on, be able to move, and you would look around. You would look around and you would see who's around you. I can take both points of view and quite easily work with both of them, because I see a chart of a Capricorn rising person with moon in 7th. I think, well, he's going to care for his partner, whoever she is, and he wouldn't really want to harm her normally. The problem I've got this chart is that Saturn is he's basically at in the Saturn-Sun period, has quite a change to his physical body. Sun and Saturn is combust. So when you've got Saturn combust by the Sun, and the two close together, what often can happen is with that planet is you don't see beyond yourself. So a Sun-Saturn person is known to be someone who has a great dependency on other people, and they can sometimes not realize the effect it has on other people, the way that they are. And they find it hard to take responsibility for things because they've already had to take great responsibility early on. Now, he has also Ketu in the 9th house. There's an inimical relationship with the father, so that's a problem shown in his life. His mother, he must have been very close to, with Moon in Cancer. He must have been very close to and affectionate with her, but he unfortunately loses her, and he feels quite alone on an emotional level. He is known for being very competitive and being a great winner. His Mars, planet Mars for him, is, look at this, the degree of Mars, 3 degrees Aquarius. It's in Dhanishta, which is its own nakshatra. Makes it quite a powerful Mars. And Jupiter is at 20, it's almost 20 degrees. So it's just about to change star there, where it's at. His lord of his ascendant is Saturn, and it is in the 11th house of victory and winning and gains, but in Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. And it is conjunct the 8th lord, giving an indication as to what this is around, a chronic problem that he's had from birth with his physical body. I think this gives him a feeling of inferiority, which propels him to becoming a supreme athlete, which is really what he becomes. The Sun, Saturn power together is in the sign of Scorpio, and Mars is in the sign of Aquarius. And the Mars power in Aquarius is in the sign of Saturn. So you have an exchange of houses. The 4th and the 11th Lord Mars, the winning planet, the emotionally wanting victory planet of Capricorn, Mars, exchanges with the Lugna Lord and 2nd house confidence Lord, Saturn. Saturn and Mars are very hard working planets. You put them together and they work extremely hard to get a result. But when they exchange signs, they're both also very cruel planets, and they might have some potential for cruelty as a result of it. And they'll be able to possibly win at all costs and do what it takes. And they certainly won't like losing. I think he won't like losing because in the Mercury-Saturn period, which is a dasha at the moment, he is in the dasha of the 6th Lord and the 9th Lord. 6th Lord giving the competitive edge and the wanting to win, and the 9th Lord of Fortune, where Ketu sits. In the Saturn sub-period, he will also be looking for victory because Saturn is in the 11th house, and he was recently competing in the athletics, and he did fairly well overall, I think. So given that was the case, I kind of go to his current chart, events leading up to the time of it. And here we can see that, you know, what's going on at the moment is he's got Venus in the Lugna. It makes him, I think, in an emotional situation, he's probably, if Venus is the rising sign and the Lugna is correct, you're going to be quite a positive person with you know, Capricorn there. Venus in Capricorn, you're going to be loving and kind, and these things are on your Lugna. The issue is that Sun and Mars are currently entering combustion. And at this point in time, you could do something that's aggressive. Again, beyond, without thinking of the consequences, which is what can happen often with combustions. And Sun is on 0 degrees and Mars is on 13 degrees. It's entering a state of combustion, and Sun has just changed signs into Aquarius. So, given that setup, it's possible, feasible, that there might have been an argument of some form that night. And the Moon energy is, if you look at the kind of like debilitation power, right, there's the kind of Navamsha chart on the right hand side there. Moon and Sun are both quite weak, a lot of lack of lunar energy, and that could possibly be a feeling for him where I think there's maybe something is discussed which is not perhaps what he wanted to hear on Valentine's. And given the Sun is in Dhanishta as well, and it's in a star which is, if I can symbolize the lunar mansion, Dhanishta is very much around rhythm, beats. It's about, you know, the kind of drum is a symbol of it. I kind of felt maybe, you know, his own power and athleticism of Dhanishta is portrayed by the fact that he's a very good runner. He's kept excellent rhythm in his running pace, and gymnasts also, Dhanishta indicates gymnastics as well. So he's got the power and the energy to keep very good rhythm. The other thing about Dhanishta is it's a Mars nakshatra, so if it's in some way activated, and the Sun, for example, is entering that particular star there. But it's very much for me about, this is the last star of Mars, so it's very much about the collective Mars, and it's almost where people want to march to the beat of their own drum, and they want to do things in their own way. And if you're not harmonized with someone else's Mars energy there, is you might want to basically go your own direction and split. I don't know if this was something that was argued about in that night, okay, or not. But if it was, it's possibly indicative that the Sun going into Aquarius on that 0.0 degrees transiting, changing signs, or something around some sort of change in relationship or direction that he maybe wasn't happy about. He didn't want to lose at any cost, because if he lost her, it would have been another defeat which he wouldn't have been particularly happy about. So I'm not sure if he lost his temper and he got out of control and thought that something impulsive happened. It seems to be, there's a possibility for it. The other alternative is someone tried to break into his house, and if that was the case, you know, looking at that, breaking into the house, how would that be indicated? Could it be seen in the chart? Eighth house, I think eighth house things tend to indicate break-ins, potentially. I've not particularly looked in that direction to give that equal view. I think I've talked a bit there. Maybe you'd like to sort of see what your thoughts are to recap this, and maybe where we go from here afterwards. Just to say, looking at the Navamsha chart of Pistorius, if I can find it. I had it actually somewhere else. Here's this Taurus ascendant, and Navamsha has got Mars and Saturn in Scorpio inside it. So his chart actually has a Vargotama on Saturn there. It's in the same place. It's worth looking at as Navamsha chart, if you can do. Just bring you back for comments now, everyone, just to kind of have a conclusion. We've kind of explored both sides of this there. Let's see what you think. Great, I can see the comments there from Leo. The Kala Sopa is a problem. Yes, Kala Sopa Yoga. And the thing with Kala Sopa Yoga is it's going to really kick in the Ketu Dasha. It will really activate. And you will see you know, Ketu rules in Virgo. So Mercury comes into life. And so does Jupiter. I should just think though, it doesn't quite stack up, does it? Let's see what else is there. At the time of the event, Moon was in Papachari. Let's look at that. The event there, yeah, Moon is between 16 degrees Pisces, between Ketu and the malefics there, between Mars and Mercury. So there's some malefic planets around it. Yes, that's something certainly the case. Any further comments on the voice? Well, I think the rest is for the jury to decide, right? Let's bring you back into the audio.
Hello?
Rosanna, hello, welcome back.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to point out that the Sun at the 0 degrees of Aquarius,
Yeah.
it feels very weak. It feels very powerless.
Mm.
And so with the Venus being what is it? Saturn's combusting his chart.
In his natal chart, let's have a look. Let's go back to it and have a look.
Yes,
I think
Saturn's combusting his natal chart.
Yeah.
One thing that people sometimes don't understand about how combustion works is because it's burnt up by the sun. That planet is actually moving faster than we are. At least it appears to be moving faster. So it's running ahead of everything else, and that makes it like impatient.
Right. So not patient would be a kind of a significator of a combust Saturn, wouldn't it?
It might give a tendency to kind of a trigger finger, as it were.
Yes. Sure, sure. Yeah, sure.
Pardon the pun, folks.
No, it's quite possible. Someone could fire off, you know.
Yes.
The thing is, you look at this chart and just the significators alone, and take off the lugna of it. What was very interesting was I put it into a tropical format. And for those of you who are into the Victor Kara style of tropical sidereal intervention, which is very, I think, fascinating stuff, really. Using a tropical chart, you get this Rashi. You get a ascendant Aquarius, you know, Aquarius rising. All the symbology appears again in a different format. But you get Moon in the 7th house again, which is fine, but in Leo this time. And you get Mars opposite this Moon. This is quite a different setup entirely, really. That energy is the Sun rules the 7th house in Leo, and Moon rules the 6th house in the 7th house. So you get enmity and conflict with the partner from the 6th and the 7th, a kind of a dislike and conflict. And also Venus is a significator of Venus of wife and marriage. It's got K2 conjunct here. So in that tropical chart, you don't really like your partner. There's a kind of a dislike there, and it's the partner's kind of Leo energy, and the person himself is the Aquarius energy, the revolutionary, and the partner's the kind of Leonine, kind of very confident, attractive, perfect human in a way. So he's got a perfect human who he's trying to compete with, and he himself is, you know, undergoing, you know, is representing the kind of like the half man, half machinery person. So I'm sort of giving you kind of visual imagery here, but I think there's something very interesting in the tropical chart. When this thing kind of like pans out and we see what happens, we'll see to see what the kind of truth is of it all. But it's going to be certainly some interesting things will be revealed in the next few months about their relationship with each other and how tight were they. I think they're only together for a few months, 3 or 4 months. It's surprising something like this could happen after such a short amount of time. Any other comments from yourself, Rosanna, or Angela, and Robert? And I can refer to any chart you want me to here, if I can go backwards and forwards as you request. That's great, thank you. Thanks everyone, that's been great. I think it's been very exciting and interesting to do this together, because when I get everyone's views and we share them, then everyone's given something to add to this chart and give it some richness. In terms of its where this goes from here, we've obviously got to keep an eye on what happens. You know, this dasha is Mercury Saturn, goes into K2. The birth time we're not perfectly sure about, and the event time itself shows this. But you know, you could sort of maybe look at what might happen going forward here. Is that Saturn is in his 10th house conjunct Rahu, and Saturn Rahu, that kind of those two planets there have also been transiting. Saturn has been transiting his own natal Venus. You see Saturn there at the moment is at 15 degrees Libra at the moment. If you go to his chart and look at it, his natal Venus is at 2 degrees Libra and natal Mercury is at 16 degrees Libra. I think Andrew was saying about Mercury being something here going on. Saturn's been transiting natal Mercury. It's kind of a pretty large, significant transit taking place, and will carry on doing something. It moves into Scorpio later on. I think it's in about a year and a half or so when that happens. So it's a particularly significant transit for him. It's going to change things around. So let's just go back to the summing this up. I've got my final chart here. Got some links here that are kind of the Western charts, and a biography link that I referred to today. This kind of tells you a bit about his life. I'll convert this to a PDF file shortly and upload it. Let's go back to the positive thing around changes in technology and innovation going on at the moment with Venus in Aquarius, the revolutionary, and the current chart of them now. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you on the online group. Bye-bye. You can come back to Mike and say bye if you like.
Thank you, Manoj. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. I'll see you on the group.
Thank you, Manoj. See you, Manoj. Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Rosanna. Thank you, Robert. Should be recorded, so hopefully we've got it. And you're still there, Angela? You there?
Yeah, you need me to stop the recording?
No, well, you can stop the recording, yeah, if you can.